This computer, there we go. All right. So today we kick it up a notch in a sense, or this is kind of the end game for this class, um, because we're going to start creating objects. Okay, so we're going to be able to play the small letter God game, where we can create things and they will have the attributes of whatever we want to give them. The idea here in object-oriented programming, again, is to be able to take real and abstract objects that we can think of and convert them to a digital object, okay? So we can have objects that are, you might want to have people. You can have a car, you can have a dog, you can have a printer, you can have a computer, you can have a house, you can have, you name it, a grapefruit. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to create these objects and give them attributes, okay? Now, again, I don't know if any of you remember in English, I think I had an English teacher in 8th grade. I can still, you guys never probably diagrammed sentences, but her thing in the whole world was that everybody in the world should know how to diagram a sentence. So I do remember that, you have a noun, which is the object, just like ours is an object. Then we're going to have these things called attributes, and they'll be similar to an adjective, something that describes our object that we can put a value on, say color, some type of size, what else? Anything to describe it, weight, height, how many of something, age, whatever. And then we have another thing called a method, and those are actions that our objects can do, similar to a verb. So in reality, if you're a good English student, you probably will understand this maybe better than some other people. Okay. Let's see what else. There's some key words that we're going to introduce. You already should know instantiate, because we're going to create the class and then instantiate objects from it. Okay. Very similar to, our scanner. We've been instantiating copies of the scanner all along, or random or whatever. Those are objects. And then when we instantiate a copy of them into our program, and we're going to do the same thing here, but the objects we're going to instantiate now will be ones that we created. Another word that we're going to need is encapsulation. Encapsulation is basically the hiding of how things work in the background. I'm guessing that most of you have driven a car or know how a car, you get in the car, you turn the key, you drive it, right? Does Ford or Chevy or whatever, for the most part, unless you're a mechanic or that, you don't know what the firing order of your car is. You don't know, most of you probably don't know what the horsepower of your car is even. You don't know how the computer chip in your car works. That's all hidden from you. Believe me, General Motors and Ford and them don't want you in there messing around. In fact, if you look at a new Mercedes, you can't even see the engine if you open up the hood. There's not even a dipstick for the oil. They don't want you in there. They have a big plastic cover, or vinyl, whatever it is, over the top of the engine. So they're hiding the mechanics from you. Same thing here. We can hide stuff from the people using our program. Still works. All the calculations, they just put in information and all of a sudden, or they put in data and all of a sudden they get information. We don't want them messing around with the math and stuff like that. So we encapsulate it. It's hard to understand a little bit because we're doing it all ourselves. But in reality, in the real world, it'd be similar to, let's just say that there's a contract or an investor out there and he wants to build a house. Okay. And he's doesn't know how to build a house, you know. So he goes to, so that's player one. Player two might be an architect. He goes to an architect and says, you know, I want this house. I want it to have 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, open concept, all the key words that people use today. I get a kick out of it because I grew up in a house with 6 kids and 2 parents in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. Talk about a line. But you know, he wants these things, this kind of roof, da 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 da. So the architect then draws it. He designs what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So that's us making the class. When we create our class, it's like a blueprint. Okay. Then the architect doesn't build the house. He gives that print to a builder or a carpenter or a general contractor, and they build the house. That'll be like the programs we've been writing. Okay. Programs we currently write are like we're building them off of some template that somebody else did the heavy lifting or the blueprints on. And then finally we sell the house to a user that's going to actually enter stuff and things like that. So you could say that really before, you know, we're doing the work of 4 people, okay? Or we have contact with this program through 4 people. Now, the difference between the class and the architect and the carpenter is, does the carpenter need to know all the engineering and that goes into it, or do they just need to be told this is the kind of wood we want? This is how thick or how big your floor joists have to be. This is the way the roof has to be built. Do they really need to know that, or do they just put that together? Well, the truth is they just put it together. The guy that is responsible whether or not that house is going to stand or fall down for the most part structurally would be the architect. Okay. And in Illinois, most houses and that, depending on where you live, have to have an approved architect stamp or a structural engineer stamp on them in most towns before they will let you build that house. The second question is reusability. Can I, how many houses can I build from one blueprint? Well, if it's not as many as I want, right? That original investor that pays the architect can build as many houses that look like that house as however many he wants. So again, there's a certain amount of reusability that I can do. Another thing that we want to make sure we're aware of is inheritance. Okay. And this is, here we go from English to biology. Normally you and me and everybody else in the world inherit certain traits from your parents. Okay. And it's a one-way trip. Your parents do not inherit anything from you except maybe a headache, heart attack, whatever. But for the most part, biological wise, that you inherit them. It's a one-way system. And your kids, grandkids, whatever, will inherit from you. Well, we can do that in this. Let's say that I create a class called people, okay? And people have certain attributes. They have a birth date. They usually have a name. They have a gender. I don't know. They have a race. And so we could call something, we could create a class called people. And then we could create a subclass called student. Okay. And you inherit those 4 attributes from the super or the class above you, the parent class. So the subclass or the child class inherits those 4 things so that you don't have to rewrite the code for those when you do student, because you already have those 4 things going. Now under student, they might add, what school do you go to? What class are you in? What's your grade point average? Those type of things get added in at that point. They don't affect the parent, except maybe financially. But again, so you can add those things. And then the student could have I don't know, that might not be a good, there might be another class under that, okay? There could be one that's, I don't know, what classes are you taking or something to that effect. Well, we don't need to get your name and all, we already got that. We got your gender, we got your age, we have what college you're going to, those types of things in the child. Now we've got one inside that, but it's all inherited downhill, okay? So that's inheritance. And one thing you should know that this can get a lot more abstract as you become more familiar with programming, especially as you go into Computer Science 235, Java 2. There's a couple other things we're going to talk today about: getters and setters and constructors. Just be aware that in our class, when we're programming these, I do require that you use constructors and we've been using them all along. Scanner, scanner, con-in is equal to a new scanner. That's a constructor, okay? Random, RDM is equal to a new random. That's a constructor, okay? So we'll construct our objects using constructors. And what else? Setters, getters. And that's about it. Any questions about what we're going to do, except how to do it? Okay. Anybody awake?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. We are recording. Oh, geez. Okay, that's that. Open up NetBeans. Tilt this, getting a little glare here.
Have you ever used the IDE Eclipse much? Because I see a lot of other classes use that Eclipse.
Yeah, I just prefer NetBeans. Eclipse you can use. You know that anything you write in Java is just a text file. Okay?
Right.
That's all it is. I just like Apache NetBeans. I think it picks up. I like the format. I like the way it's all packaged up at the end into the same folder or directory. But you can use Eclipse, not in my class, but you can use Eclipse.
Oh, hey, did you see that NetBeans 12.1's out?
No.
Oh, well, yeah, it is, and it shows a lot more of the little, the small errors, a lot more for everything.
Cool.
Not that they actually do anything, it's just, it shows, you know, more things you can do with them.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
neat.
that's cool. Yeah. I don't even know what version I've got running here right now.
I think it's 12.0 right now.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start a new project. And of course, we got Ant going here. And I think I'm going to call it AKC. See, how about Dog Show or something? I don't know. All right. We'll go up here. I know you guys don't have class tomorrow, but just so you know, I will not have office hours tomorrow or class. It's Veterans Day and I do not do Veterans Day. This COVID though, I'm not going to get all my free meals around town. Usually I go to Texas Roadhouse. Something like that is good enough. Clean this up a little bit. I think that's good for now. We'll save that. Then I'm going to just copy this up here. I'm going to go over to File, New File. I want a Java class. I'm going to call it Dog. Looks like this. Notice it's in the same package. So we can, and then this in this case is just Dog. All right. Whoops, why did I do that? At any rate. Down here. Okay, now we need to think about, this is where it gets a little, what attributes, what do we want to know about our dog? This thing we're creating called Dog. What are some of the things about it that, let's say, never change for the most part?
The breed?
Yeah, that's one. So we'll do private. Now, again, these attributes, I could make them public so that they can be seen even in the AKC Dog Show. It just depends on how much you want to. Let's start out with them public. Okay, that'll be okay. So we got a public and it'll be a string and we'll do breed. How about something else?
About color?
Color's good.
Could we do size?
We
Or
could. How about what is it called? Group? Like, is it working group or terrier or toy? Or the AKC has a bunch of groups, kind of like size. I need to look at something here. I want to see something real quick. I had a problem the other day. It's not what I want, really. I don't want to import it. Okay, never mind. Let's just do this one this way. And let's do a so we got breed, color, group, date of birth. Oh, we've got one here. Let's go here. So I think those are good. Okay. Now they have public access. So that means our carpenter over in our AKC Dog Show could come over and change the values to something goofy. I mean, they could type a number in for breed. They could make up their own gender. You know, they could. Yeah, I mean, so we're giving a lot of leeway to this guy over here, and later on we're going to trim down his little. Okay. So those will be our attributes. Okay. Or characteristics, whatever you want to call them. The next thing I said we needed are some special methods called constructors. The first one is going to be the default constructor. Okay. And it's just going to be public dog. Okay. No parameters, no arguments needed to create it. In fact, if I go over to my dog show now, I can go down here and do this. And I can actually run it. And it runs successfully. Then I could actually do this. Because our attributes are our public, I can do come on. Why is it doing that? What was the others? Genders in there somewhere. Oops. Group, gender, that would be okay. Now it starts popping up. I think it's hurting or working, one of the two. Don't forget, this one is a single quote. Let's see if this will just work this way. I don't know what it's going to print, if anything. Oh, yeah, it does that. Okay, so we have to do print my dog breed. Let's do it this way, printf. It's a string. And now I'll run it. And you can see it prints this out like that. So we've created our first dog, instantiated it right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just remark this out so we can work on the second one we're going to try, which is a little bit different. This is going to be example one using default with public attributes. Let's see. Okay, so that's our first one. Now, another way to do this, let's go back to dog now, would be, first of all, to come down here. And this one here, we're going to use the same name. And you say, Doug, how can you do that? Well, this has a different address or a different key than the first one because I'm going to have parameters. The parameters are going to be string breed, string color, string group, char gender, string DOB. Oh, I never did that. I should go back and do that on the other one. DOB and Boolean registered. Okay. Okay, so this is a parameterized constructor. In other words, the client or the builder has to input these types of things to get the right blueprint to build the building. Okay. Or to create their dog. So from over in our AKC, we have to send these things to before we can. This one, we didn't have to send any parameters or arguments. This one, we have to send all these arguments. Let's go back real quick over here. And we forgot to do our DOB here. I'm going to just add it in. Oops. Come on. So it'll be my dog 1.dob, and then we'll just put it in this way instead of, let's make it 11/11/2019 or something. And then we do the same thing down here. Let's see, you got group, gender, registered. So it'd be right here. And then we need to fix over, let's see, it was after gender. So we can do this. Yeah, I know that. It'll be my dog 1.dob. So that's fixed. So it'd have all of our attributes. All right, so then we're going to come down below this one. And we'll just do and so we're going to create a new dog. It's equal to a new dog. Hang on. Hey, dude, are you alive? You floating? Hey, I'm in class right now. Can I call you back when I'm done? All right, dude. Bye. A buddy of mine that lives in the Florida Keys. Probably not a great day yesterday over there or last night. Okay, so now we got a new dog. But now we got to send the attributes. So breed, let's make it a poodle. Or send our arguments, I'm sorry. And then color, let's just make it a white poodle. And then we can group, I don't know what they're under. Is it non-working? Might be. And then gender, oops, it'll be single quote, F, female. And then we can do a date of birth will be 12/07/2018, let's say. Oops. And is it registered? We'll say true. So we got breed, we got color, we got group, we got gender, we have date of birth, and we have registered. Okay. And then we can copy this right here. Bring it down here. Undo these. Change system output. Okay. And we're going to change all these dog ones to dog two. Okay. And this time, let's see. If we run it, let's see if it works. Ooh, no. Why is that? Dog two. Why am I getting? Read. My dog two. New dog. That looks right. Didn't change anything here, did I? Oh, geez. Forgot to do what we need to do over here. We forgot to assign them to these up here. So now what we need to do here is this. It's this dot breed is equal to breed. This dot color is equal to color. This dot gender or group, let's put group first, is equal to group. This dot gender is assigned gender. This dot DOB is equal to DOB. And this dot registered is equal to registered. Okay, question. These up here are public. So is this breed here, this variable, the same as this variable here? This variable here, is it the same as this variable up here?
Yes.
Who agrees?
No. Because you said it was separate earlier, didn't you?
Just asking. Who agrees that it's the same variable?
I would.
Okay. What is the scope? I guess I say, what is the scope of this variable here?
The package.
The whole
For the
package,
class?
everything in the package, right?
Yeah.
How about the scope of this variable here? What's its scope?
Wouldn't it be the same?
No, it's only good from here to here.
Oh.
So
Okay.
my normal rule is don't name variables that have different scopes the same thing, okay?
Ah.
Because it's going to be confusing. However, when we start dealing with classes, almost every textbook in the world is going to show this like this. These are not the same. The only two that are the same here is this one here and this one here. This one over here is the one up here. And that's what the this is right here. It means the one that's in this class. This one here is only good from right here and to right here in that constructor. Same thing with all the rest of these. So we have to assign this to this, which then puts a value in here. And now if I go back here and run it, you can see it does work now. Okay. And so what's different about down here and up here is we didn't have to type all this in. We just did it when we initialized the constructor. We used the parameter-wise ones. So we just sent this stuff down, okay? The problem with this is it's hard-coded. Same thing up here. This is hard-coded. I can't change it without coming in. It's like if you bought a house and you want to change the kitchen or something, you'd have to call your carpenter back up and have him do it because he's the only one that has access to type in here. Okay. You can't tear out a wall. You can't do anything unless you call him up, because he's the only one that has access to this part of your house. Same thing here. Whatever he puts in here as the arguments are hard coded in. Well, as you, hopefully one thing that you learned this semester was that to make our programs more valuable, the less we have of literals. The more literals I can get rid of makes my program more useful, because then they're variables and it can change during program execution. Okay, so that's dog number 2. And now we're going to get rid of him. Poor puppy. All right. So now we're going to go back to our dog over here. And we're going to change these from private or public to private. So now they're only good where?
Inside class dog.
Yep, only good in the class dog. So my AKC Dog Show can't see them anymore. So if I went and did this over to dog, I'm sorry, the Dog Show, and if I undo this here, see what happens? I got all kinds of errors. Okay? Because it can no longer see these. Oops, that's not good. Okay, so we're going to redo that. Why am I good? Oops. I don't want to. All right, let's cut this here. And go back to dog. All right, so now I've made these private, okay? So I've given more control back to the architect and denied that kind of access from the builder, okay? The person doing the program from my blueprint can no longer change these randomly. They have to go through what I say they have to do. In other words, I could go back here and set all these things, and I could, if I'm a good carpenter, I could say, okay, only these type of groups are available. So I could put a loop in here. Only F and M are valid for the entries to gender. Only certain dates of birth are good, and only registration can only be true or false, or it has to be true or false. So I could write code in here, right, to limit that. But that's the carpenter doing that. Shouldn't the architect do that? The architect should want to have more control. Okay. So now that we've made these private, how are we going to change them by allowing the carpenter to only get to them and limit what they can do? Okay. Because we want it built in a certain way. So we're going to move our mouse down here underneath our constructor, and we're going to put in something here. And let's just say here, Type getters and setters. Um, what do I want to call it? I'm calling, I don't know, command line. I'll make it procedure. I don't know. Something like that. And now let's go right here underneath that, right click, and I want to say insert code. And what do I want to insert? I want to insert all my setters and getters for dog. So I select that and I hit generate. And I get all this code. I'll do it again. Go down here where I want it. Right click, insert code, getters and setters. It brings this up. I click on dog to select them all and I hit generate. And I get all this. And I'm going to indent them. And I'm going to move my, as I'm just a little bit anal about this stuff. Okay. So those are my setters and getters. Notice that by default, not that you can't change them. Why can't I spell default this morning? Setters are voids and getters have a data type. So now, even though that these are private, I can access them through these commands. I can get the data by using my getter. Let's go back over to our AKC Dog Show over here. And I'm going to copy, well, let's copy the whole thing. And select it. Oops. Oh yeah, that'll be good. Hang on. Okay, so this is going to be our dog number 3, right? And that's fine here. Let's make it some other type of dog. Let's go with a pug. And my pug is tan and non-working. I don't know if they're toy or not. Let's make them terriers or not terriers. We'll just say toy. And we'll have it born on 10. And we'll leave that true. So this will be my dog 3. And now, notice down here, we're going to get rid of all this right here. Okay, but now we need to put values in there. So we can do dog, my dog 3 dot get breed. My dog 3 dot get color. My dog 3 dot what was next? Toy, oh, group. Then my dog 3 dot get gender. And then my dog 3 get DOB. And my dog 3 get or is registered. That's a common term for Boolean is, okay? Instead of typing Boolean or whatever, it is, because it's normally a flag is what we call it. It's a flag. And let's see if this works now. And there you go. There it is. And just remember, in this one, our user could not get to breed and color and group without going through. So we can control some of that, what's returned, okay, as the architect over here. But all we're using right now is the gets. The sets are not being used, okay? So you should now be able to run this for your third dog. Okay, again, the biggest problem here is I had to hard code this in. Okay, I had to hard code this in. So that's not good. I mean, again, I could give the builder the right to do something like, hang on, let's do this. So let's rem this one out, or copy it and then, or rem it out and then copy it. So let's go down here now. Create dog 4. Okay. Okay, so now let's make this dog 4 everywhere. There we go. And let's go up here. And we can do something like, And I need a scanner. And I can declare that up here if I wanted to. And then come down here. And so on. I could do all of the attributes here. What did I call that group? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Come on. Okay, and I'm not gonna so this will become here. So now, let's just say I did all of them, but I can replace these with variables, right? So this would be my breed. And this one would be my color. This one would be my group. And so this, at this point, becomes more friendly. Okay, my gender. And let's run it. This is our dog 4. It says, what is the breed of your dog? And I'll say husky. What's the color of my dog? White. Was AKC? And I'll say working. What is the gender of your dog? I'll say M. And so that's more friendly, right? Because it can vary. Those are variables now. And every time I run this or put it in a loop, I can create a new dog. All right. So a little bit more friendly. And again, I'm just saying you can continue on here and do the birth date and is it registered. But again, this is the carpenter controlling this. Okay. I tell you what I'm going to do. This has gone longer, and you guys always have this short thing going. We're going to stop here. And then on Thursday, we're going to come back and finish this because I want to get so that the architect is controlling everything that's going to go in here. Because right now, watch what could happen. I could run this again. And again, if I do Husky, let's say, and I could say, I don't know, purple. AKC group, stupid. Gender of my dog is an A. And see what I'm saying? He's not controlling it the way I would want it controlled. Okay. He's not controlling it. I'm not saying that I'm going to have come up with every name of a dog or dog breed, but you could, right? And I could limit it. If it's a Husky, I could limit it to 3 different colors or something. I could have a list of the groups of dogs. And if this isn't one of them, I could limit that. And that's what the architect would do. He would, so that this guy couldn't put in goofy stuff like that. All right. So I think that's good for today. And then you'll have to come back Thursday to see the rest of my explanation, if that's all right with everybody. Okay. I think that's a good start though. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm going to turn off the recorder.